The New York Islanders scored a dramatic and complete 6-3 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. We'll talk about what was different about this game and can it be sustained? All that and more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You could start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $250 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Saturday in Toronto, the Islanders played what may very well be their most complete game in a 6-3 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. And look, the Leafs were playing their third game in 4 nights. They were on a back-to-back. The Islanders had 3 full days off in between games. All good. The good news is that the Islanders did all the little things they have struggled with all over the course of the season. And I'm not going to say they 100% fixed them, but boy, they came awfully close. I mean, every day, as you'll remember, Friday, we talked about the fact that the Islanders had given up the first goal in 8 straight games. Well, what happens against Toronto on Saturday? The very first thing that the Islanders are able to do is score a minute and 47 seconds into the game with Maxim Siplikov getting the goal, and voila. You end that 8-game slump, you're off to a good start. And lo and behold, the Islanders add to the lead 3 minutes and 1 second later. And then, they give up one, and you're thinking in the back of your head, okay, here we go again. But no, the Islanders kept on pressing, kept on forechecking, kept on producing. And the end result was a 3-1 lead after 1. And every time that Toronto seemed like they were making an effort to get back in the game, the Islanders, for a change, responded, scored, and were able to extend the lead. So they were up 2-0. Then 3-1. It got as close as 3-2. And then the Islanders kind of pull away 5-2, 5-3, empty netter. I mean, all the little things from scoring first to scoring an empty net goal. We saw the Islanders do a lot of things that they do not otherwise do. And, 2 things that I think were instrumental in this win. Number one, the Islanders did not take their foot off the gas. They continued to forecheck. They continued to be aggressive even when they had the lead, so that it was not easy for Toronto to make the transition from defense to offense and get a lot of quality shots on Ilya Sorokin. And that was definitely a positive. And then the other thing is this. I think that the New York Islanders won more 50-50 puck battles Saturday against the Toronto Maple Leafs, both in the offensive zone and in the defensive zone, than they had in the entire month of December leading up to this game in Toronto. So again, it was like this team was on a mission. They were possessed. And, I could think of a couple of possible reasons for this. A lot of these players grew up in and around Toronto, Ontario being their home province. The game is on Hockey Night in Canada, so it's being televised across the country. If you're Canadian, that has to be, extra incentive for a lot of these players. And adding to that, getting back Anthony Duclair and having him be healthy and ready to play and coming out and playing well, I think that really ended up working. And look, one other thing the Islanders did, and I think it kind of reinforces where this team is at, what they're good at, what they're not good at. Neither team took a penalty in this game, which means that all 60 minutes of this game were played 5-on-5, except when Toronto pulled their goalie late in the game to get that extra attacker. 5-on-5. I've been saying for a while now, if hockey was only 5-on-5 and only 2 periods long, the Islanders could be cup contenders. And I think, statistically, that is correct. 5-on-5, this team is much better. And that without the third period, they'd have a lot more points banked. But staying out of the penalty box, not even going on the power play, it clearly benefited the Islanders. Not just because the power play and the penalty kill are struggling so badly and still remain ranked dead last in both instances in the league, but it allowed the Islanders to roll 4 lines for the entire game. So there's less of a fatigue factor. And don't think that doesn't matter. No Islander forward played less than almost 11 minutes. Hudson Fasching, 10 minutes, 59 seconds. So let's say 11 minutes for Hudson Fasching. He was the least forward with the least amount of ice time. Kyle Palmieri, 18:04, had the most. So you had a balanced attack. You had balanced minutes, and that definitely made a difference on defense. Isaiah George, 15 minutes, 14:51 in the game. Noah Dobson, the most at 23:02. But again, your top 4 between 21.5 and 23 minutes. Your bottom pair between 14:51 and 15:46. Balance. Nobody got exhausted. Nobody was out there too often. Patrick Roy able to roll his lines, and that made a big, big difference by the time, the game was over. And in the third period, the Islanders able to hold on to their lead. And, something they've struggled with all year, staying away from the penalty box, which is something they're actually pretty good at, made a big deal. And thankfully, the Islanders just come out with a strong performance. And, the other thing the Islanders did better, and the team was very much aware of it, and it's another one of those things that the Islanders have struggled with all year long, is that they were able to get the puck out of their own zone. And when you play like that, and you, for the most part, are efficient at clearing the zone, it makes a big difference when you're not spending 60, 90, 120 seconds where you just can't clear the puck. That is a recipe for disaster. That is where this team gets into major trouble. They didn't do that in this game, and that was absolutely huge. And, here's the other thing. New line combinations used by Patrick Roy. And what Roy did, and I think it worked well, the first line in the beginning of the season, Horvat, Barzal, and Duclair, they were split up. None of them played with any of the others. It was Nelson, Duclair, and Palmieri on the first line, Horvat, Siplikov, and Holmstrom on the second, Barzal centering Lee and Pajot on the third, and then Cizikas, McLean, and Fasching. What that does is it gives you 3 solid scoring lines and then a relatively speedy forechecking fourth line. And, you have got guys on this lineup who are 20 goal scorers plus on all three of your top lines. And while there will be times, and we know Patrick Waugh, he shuffles his lines within the game all the time. But while there will be times that he's going to break these lines up and mix and match, overall, having more balance, having three lines that are capable of putting the puck in the net and who have proven guys who can do that is, I think, the best utilization of the talent on this team. And, the other thing is this: who was a healthy scratch in this game for the Islanders? Well, can't say it was a huge surprise that Pierre Engvall was a scratch. Matt Martin was a scratch. I thought they would want Martin in there to go up against Ryan Reeves, but they didn't. They went with Hudson Fasching, and it did indeed end up working. But look, Pierre Engvall probably going to play maybe once every 3 games or so. Matt Martin, Hudson Fasching, those three may rotate for 1 or 2 spots in the lineup. But overall, I think the way this was handled by Patrick Waugh, setting up more balance, was a good thing for the New York Islanders and a great win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. We've got more to get to, a special moment, a couple of milestones in this game. Hero and go to the game. Was this the kind of thing that the Islanders can repeat? And we'll preview tonight's game against the Buffalo Sabres. And for our Islanders' birthday of the day, a defenseman who was a part of all 4 Islanders Cup winning teams and provided this team with important offense from the blue line behind Dennis Potvin. This guy doesn't get as much love as he deserves now, 40 years later. But let's see if you can guess who it is. We've got all that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. If you love sports, you're going to love Prize Picks, the best place to turn your sports knowledge into real money. Whether it's hockey, football, or any of your favorite sports, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in on the action. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Plus, this holiday season, they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas and offering 2 free picks in December. And when your picks hit, Prize Picks makes it easy to cash out. You can get your money in as fast as 15 minutes. This week on Prize Picks, I'm looking at the hockey board. Jack Hughes for more than 4 shots on goal and Artemi Panarin for more than 1 assist. It's so simple to make my picks and have fun with friends while potentially cashing out fast. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly. Prize Picks, run your game. So, a couple of milestones in this game, and one of them was a little more meaningful to me than the other, but I want to talk about both. The first one I'm going to mention, which was not quite as meaningful, but hey, give credit where credit is due. The 250th career goal for Bo Horvat. And great to see him reach that milestone. Can he get to 500? He'd have to keep scoring at a 30-goal rate. If he does that, it'll take him another 7 or 8 seasons to get up there, but it's possible. It's possible, but unlikely, I would say. I would give him maybe a 35-40% chance. But great to see Horvat reach that goal and that milestone. But the one that I think was more emotional for everybody has got to be Isaiah George getting his first goal. And it ends up being the game winner. And it turns out to be done, near his hometown. He's an Ontario kid, grew up rooting for the Maple Leafs. And to have him get that first goal in front of friends and family absolutely magical. And you could see the smile on his face. And for those of you who are, who find this on YouTube, you could see the picture of George as he's being congratulated by his teammates for that first goal. And here's what Patrick Waugh had to say. Since he's been here, he's been outstanding. It was good for him to miss a couple of games. Back tonight, he was really good. It was a reset. Don't forget, last year he was in junior. I'm very happy for him and very proud of him. Now, George, who grew up in Oakville, Ontario, he said, it was fun that I got to do it in Toronto, where I grew up watching Leafs games and coming to this rink. So it was really special. I have family, friends, and a lot of people that helped me get to this point. So it was great. And congratulations to Isaiah George on his first goal. And again, just great to see it. Isaiah George, it is hard not to root for a kid who worked so hard to get to this point, was really thrust into action by injuries. You know, Islanders losing 3 defensemen for a significant amount of time. Now, all but 1 are back. But wow, he had played a grand total of 4 professional games before he got called up to the Island. And for him to step in and play smart hockey, and that's not to say he hasn't made his share of rookie mistakes and had his share of, screw-ups, but for him to come in and play the way he's played and to get that first goal in front of his friends and family at the rink that he grew up, rooting for, against the team he grew up rooting for, you can't ask for too much more of a special moment. The fact that it's on Hockey Night in Canada and it's a game-winning goal just is frosting on the cake. And congratulations to Isaiah George for getting that done. But now the question is this. Is the way the Islanders played Saturday sustainable? Now that the team is healthy and more or less, if everybody stays healthy, this is the lineup until the trade deadline. I mean, I don't anticipate major changes. Yeah, okay, Engvall could come in and Fasching could sit, or Martin can come in and someone else can sit. There will be changes, no doubt, day to day in the lineup. But I think the bottom line is that this is, and there'll be changes in the line combinations, but this is the way this team is going to line up. And no, I don't think they're going to play as well as they did on Saturday on a consistent basis. I think, Saturday, so many things went right. But the question is, can they do enough of the good things they did Saturday in Toronto on a consistent basis in order to pick themselves up out of the inconsistent, mediocre play that we've seen from this team for most of the season? And again, you sort of look things over and you say, hey, what is different? And, they kept it simple in their own zone. I think that was a major factor. They continued to win in the faceoff circle. But, that, to me, staying out of the penalty box and clearing your own zone efficiently. They did the KISS thing. They kept it simple, stupid, right? And the fact that they were able to do that was great. And here's the other thing. More guys just went to the net. Siplikov's goal was, I think, the second really good scoring chance the Islanders had in the first 2 minutes of the game. And what did Siplikov do? He went to the net. Who led the Islanders in shots on goal in this game? If you guessed Matthew Barzal with 5, you'd be right. But I don't think a lot of people would have expected that. So, again, I just like the way that this team got the job done, did a lot of little things. As far as doing it this way consistently, I'll believe it when I see it. But this game, Saturday, was basically the ceiling. This is what this team is capable of when it does all the things it needs to do to be successful in one game. And, the ability to do that consistently rather than just once a month or once every few weeks, that's going to be the difference between whether or not this team is capable of getting into the playoff race or whether they are stuck in mediocrity or worse. And look, this game does not change my overall outlook on the team and its future and what they need to do to be successful over the long run. But it does give reasons for optimism that they could put a little string of wins together and make it more fun to watch. Let's face it, Saturday night's game was fun to watch for Islander fans, and that's more than we can say about, most of the games we've watched this season. As far as hero and GOAT of the game, I'm going to give it to a tie between Bo Horvat for his 3 points and Isaiah George for the game-winning goal and his first NHL goal. Yeah, Horvat pretty much deserved it more on his overall play over the game, but how can I deny Isaiah George a share in that hero of the game? And, go to the game. I hate to do this because I like them both, but Adam Pelech and Ryan Polak, they were paired together, both of them -3 in this game, and really they look lost on many of the goals scored by the Toronto Maple Leafs. They didn't pick up their men. By the way, just got to mention Scott Mayfield, a +5 in this game. He only had 1 assist, but boy, a +5. Very impressive for Scott Mayfield, and definitely has to be mentioned. All right, more to get to on today's show tonight. Islanders, Sabres, Buffalo, a 13-game losing streak as they come onto the island. Let's hope they don't end it against the Islanders. We'll preview that game, plus our Islanders birthday of the day. All that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And look, all you have to do, there's so many ways on FanDuel to get a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score. It makes it more exciting. And Islander fans, use your knowledge of hockey and the Islanders. Check out the odds for tonight's game against the Sabres. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from hosts Steele and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So it'll be the Islanders and the Sabres tonight at UBS Arena, 7:30 Eastern time start. Last game for the New York Islanders before the holiday break. So the Islanders will play Monday. Then they will be off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and will return to action Friday. So going to be important for the New York Islanders to build on what they did against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Correction, they'll be back in action Saturday. So that will be important, and the Islanders will have a nice number of days off to rest and recuperate over the holiday break. Buffalo, though, as I mentioned, 13-game losing streak. This is a team that right now is lost and cannot seem to find their way. And injuries are to an extent a part of it, but when you lose 13 games in a row, and most of these games aren't even that close, 6-1, 6-3, 3-1 is a close loss, and relatively speaking, that's their last game against Boston in Boston. Buffalo is just struggling. They're 21st in goals scored, 27th in goals against. Their power play and penalty kill are both bad, but not as bad as the Islanders. Power play is 30th, 14.1%. So maybe the Islanders' PK can get a little confidence if they go down a man to Buffalo. Penalty kill for the Sabres, 24th. The goalies, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, he's the starter. And then it's James Reimer as the backup right now. Reimer, by the way, has good numbers, a 2.45 goals against, a 9.02 save percentage. Right now, Tage Thompson, he has 16 goals to lead the team. He is tied for the team lead with Alex Tuch with 25 points. J.J. Peterka, 24 points right behind them. The line combinations for Buffalo looking like this. Thompson, Jason Zucker, and Alex Tuch are the top line. Dylan Cousins, J.G. Peterka, and Peyton Krebs are the second line. Yuri Kulik centers Zach Benson and Sam Lafferty on the third line. And the fourth line is pivoted by Ryan McLeod, Beck Malenstein, and Nicholas Aube-Kubel flank him. On defense, Matthias Samuelsson and Owen Power are the top pair. Bowen Byram and Henri Yakaharu are the second pair, and Jacob Bryson and Connor Clifton the third pair. Again, Luukkonen and Reimer are the goalies. Jordan Greenway on IR, Rasmus Dahlin right now out of the lineup. We'll see if he is able to return. I'm going to lay it on the line. This is a game the Islanders should win. And at this point, whether they win in regulation or they win in overtime or a shootout is not important, because Buffalo is playing themselves out of the playoff picture. So if you give Buffalo a point, you give Buffalo a point. That's not a big worry in my mind. But score first. When you are playing a team that has lost 13 games in a row, if you want to deflate their emotion and their intensity, score first. And watch the air come out of Buffalo's tires, because this team can't get out of its own way. Make Buffalo say, oh no, here we go again, as soon as this game gets underway, and just keep the pressure on them. Make them doubt themselves. Make them doubt they can win this hockey game. When you've got an opponent who is struggling like Buffalo, you have to take advantage. And if the Islanders have any hope of making the playoffs, and again, the Eastern Conference is so bad at the bottom that, 93 points could get you into the playoffs this year, maybe less at this point. You've got to win a game like this at home against a team below you in the standings that has lost 13 straight games. Let's see if the Islanders can do it, can build on Saturday, can build some more confidence, and, hey, get those injured players back into the swing of things, because you don't know when they're going to hit a little bit of a wall because of the fact that they are not in, usual midseason hockey shape right now. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. This is one of my favorites, an unsung hero of all four Islanders Stanley Cup winning teams. Sunday was the 70th birthday of former Islanders defenseman Stefan Persson, the native of Umeå, Sweden, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. 6'1", 190, a 14th round pick by the Islanders in 1974, came to North America for the 77-78 season and put up 56 points as a rookie, 6 goals, 50 assists in 66 games, enjoyed a 10-goal, 66-point season the following year, and then was a member of all four Islanders Cup winning teams. 3 seasons with 50 or more assists. Stayed with the Islanders through the end of the 85-86 season. Played in 622 career games, 52 goals, 369 points, 574 penalty minutes, 7 goals and 57 assists in 102 playoff games. All of his NHL action came with the New York Islanders. And again, Stefan Persson gave the Islanders offense on the blue line behind Dennis Potvin. So if they tried to take away Dennis Potvin, you give him Stefan Persson, you give him Mike McEwen. Those guys really did pinch in and make it harder for opposing teams to take on the New York Islanders in the glory days. One of his better games as an Islander, how about November 22nd, 1978 at the old Metropolitan Sports Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. Islanders and the Minnesota North Stars. Chico Resch, the goalie for the Islanders. Gil Martin, the goalie for the North Stars. And 8 minutes, 19 seconds into the game with Brad Maxwell of Minnesota off for boarding. Our Islanders' birthday of the day, Stefan Persson scores his 4th goal of the year on the power play. Mike Bossy and Dennis Potvin with the assist. 1-0 Islanders. In the second period, same score. Persson sets up Jerry Hart for an even strength goal. Bob Nystrom, the other assist. That made it 2-0 Islanders. And then later on in the second period, Richie Hansen and Stefan Persson set up Clark Gillies to make it 3-0 Islanders. Islanders add an empty net goal by Lorne Henning and go up 4-1. That was the final score in this one. But for our Islanders' birthday of the day, Stefan Persson, it's a goal, 2 assists. He's a +3, and he had 6 shots on goal, which ended up leading the Islanders. Chico Resch with 31 saves in this one. Islanders outshot 32-28, but they win it 4-1. And a strong performance by Stefan Persson. He is our Islanders' birthday of the day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We will be back tomorrow with our key takeaways from the game against the Buffalo Sabres. Hopefully some good news there. So make sure you join us for that. And we have some special episodes coming up over the break, and I'll talk more about those tomorrow. If you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, email us at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. You can follow the show on X at Locked On Isles, and you can follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for some instant insight and analysis. And it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.